spoke to Curtis all weekend. I saw Curtis Friday night. He delivered a magnificent speech. He had the best speech that night, okay? Metropolitan Republican Club Gala, 121st, honoring Corey Lewandowski, who I introduced. Frank Morano was great that night as the host, the MC. Claudia Tenney never made it. Maud Marin was there. It was a great night. And Curtis stole the show. And Curtis wanted to see me at the parade yesterday. But according to Curtis, the powers that be, everybody from Mark Traeger, who runs that parade, to the mayor, this putz, made sure that he was never going to see me on that parade route. Is that what you're contending today, that they kept you away?
Look, I've been in the Support the Israel Day parade when Eric Adams was supporting Screwy Louis Farrakhan, the biggest anti-Semite and hater of Jews in America and up there in the world. Yeah, I was barred. 3 times I was prevented from entering the area where I could have met you. By myself, I didn't go with guardian angels or campaign people because I knew, I already felt the vibe. The cops were saying, Curtis, we've been told, you ain't getting into this parade.
So you walk up to, what street were you on, by the Trump Tower?
About 56th, 55th.
And 5th.
Right.
So you get to that part, and there's blockades up, there's cops everywhere.
That's fine.
And you try to walk in, and they say no? They said no?
They say, Curtis, respectfully, we've been told you're not in this parade.
Unbelievable.
You're not in this parade. And you know that comes from Eric Adams. That comes from Eric Adams. And they're parading up and down, and your peeps applauding them. By the way, they didn't let much of a crowd in, as you know, for security reasons. Normally.
Because I was saying this morning that it was a smaller crowd.
Much smaller.
Right, but I thought maybe it was some of these weak-kneed pussy Jews who read this stuff on the internet about all these pro-Palestinian groups, and they got scared and stayed home.
Normally, the crowds would have gathered on both sides in the old days. On both sides, once you pass St. Patrick's Cathedral and the parade starts, when you're going north. Now, if you notice, you didn't see your first evidence of citizens applauding the parade goers until about 61st Street. Right, yeah. 63rd.
Yeah, but it's wrong because I know that on a rainy weekday, I was out there with the St. Patrick's Day parade.
Yes.
And they had people on both sides.
On both sides, as will the Columbus parade in October.
So what are you saying? The Jews, they're more strict because of the threats?
Yeah, well, understood. You had some of the hostages there. You had Israeli officials. I understand that.
Sure.
But it's not like the old days.
No.
And I was always involved in the Support the Israel Day parade. So they tried to box me out. So where did I go? I went to the end of the parade, 72nd, 73rd, 74th, 75th, and I met the parade goers who were very upset that I was not permitted. They said, Curtis, we always see you in the parade. Well, it's Eric Adams' rules. He knows that not only am I a viable candidate, as the Cuomos have said, Sliwa starts with 30%. This guy is legitimately a candidate. But Eric Adams, who is like down at 10%, wants no play for Curtis Sliwa. So they boxed me out. And the cops were very apologetic, and I understand. Orders came from headquarters.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, and I hadn't heard this in a long time because you are a genuine contender. And I think you have every bit as much of a chance as winning as Cuomo. I really do. Those are the only 2 I think can win. But a couple of times yesterday, some of these Jewish people walk over and go, Sid, I love you. I love your show. Answer this for me. Do you want Cuomo to win? I said, no, if you listen. No, I know you love Sliwa, but he's not going to win. So you do realize that if you don't vote for Eric Adams, you may be voting for Cuomo to win. I said, let me say it again. Curtis, yeah, but he can't win. What do you mean he can't win? I don't understand. He can't win. I know you love him. So if you're going to be practical about this, wouldn't you rather have Adams than Cuomo and Mamdani? And yesterday was the first time, these are the Jews now, they're not good to you. Yesterday was the first time in a long time I heard that multiple times.
Of course, because they realize I am a viable candidate. This goes back to the protests against City University. You remember when Dov Hikind, the greatest Jew of all time, was stuck in Ireland and asked me to substitute for him on 42nd Street and speak on his behalf. And the Jews prevented me from speaking to the crowd. The Jewish leaders, we might offend Eric Adams. This all goes back to Eric Adams. He's no friend of the Jews. He's friendly with you when you write a check that doesn't bounce. And he needs money so desperately now. He owes $3 million in legal fees, which is considered an in-kind contribution. He's got to pay that off. All of his money is frozen, his matchable money, because you're right. He was guilty of straw donors from Erdogan, the biggest Jew hater out there from Turkey. He'll take money from anybody. In the meantime, you have Jewish leaders. Curtis has no chance. Really? Did you look at the polls? Did you see that Curtis starts with 30%? If I get up to 35%, I'm the mayor.
Listen, I was at 2 events with the mayor yesterday, and I like Menashe Shapiro. I'm sorry. I like him a lot, actually. We had some good conversations. I like Moshe Davis. I like some of the people that work with the mayor. I just do. I don't like him. It's not a personal thing. But you ought to see these events. Bank Leumi, bank this, bank that. Big banks in Israel. Yarmulkes everywhere. Fawning. Lizzie Sabetsky sitting at the table with the mayor. I mean, give me a break. Fawning. Montana Tucker. Harley Lippman, who was the grand marshal for the second straight year. He's got Cuomo. He's got Adams. All these high-powered Jews, and some of them have a lot of money, fawning all over Adams like he's Moses.
So let me ask you a question.
What am I missing?
If I'm no threat, if this is a waste of my time, why is this the first time I've ever been banned and blocked from marching in to support the Israel Day Parade? There are people listening right now who said, yeah, we see you and the Guardian Angels every year. Every year.
You are blocked because you are a legitimate threat, although you're not a threat to Adams because he can't win.
No.
I just think he doesn't like you. I mean, and Danielle points this out. She's right. One of the events I was at yesterday, Adams spoke right after the CEO of Bank Leumi in Israel. Bank Leumi, okay? Not a rabbi, not a Jewish leader in the city, nothing. If the Bank Leumi, here comes the guy that is still under suspicion for taking money.
No, it's not suspicion. He was guilty. He was going to be in that jail cell with Bobby Menendez. He took in Turkish money. They didn't even get to the trial in the Eastern District where he was taking red Chinese money with Winnie Greco. It all went away. And there are 9 other people, some of them indicted, who would have ratted him out in a heartbeat, but they've been basically, okay, as part of this clemency for all of them. He now is the puppet for Donald Trump. Donald Trump calls up, Eric Adams, today I want you to jump up 3 feet in the air. I don't want to hear no excuses. Yes, boss. Yes, boss. Whatever you say, boss. Come on, this guy, let's face it.
You heard me just yell
it's
at
a humiliation.
Of course. And you heard me just yell at Arthur Aidala. I'm with Trump. Trump thinks he's innocent. No, he doesn't. President Trump didn't read one page of that indictment. Neither did his son, Eric, who defended Adams on this show.
Let me ask
Neither
you
did
question.
Lara. None of them.
What the hell is the mayor of New York doing with 7 burner phones? 7 burner phones. That's a fact. Drug dealers don't even have 7 burner phones. Terrorists don't have 7 because he knows he was guilty and he was trying to hide his guilt by any means possible. Right. And a mayor with 7 burner phones?
Makes no sense. And Trump has every reason to do this, not because he thinks he's innocent, but because he wants to run this city. He wants ice at Rikers. He wants Tom Homan and Kristi Noem to do what they want.
Right.
And now that Eric is his little bitch, he can do whatever the hell he wants. It makes sense for Trump, but don't tell me that Trump thinks he's innocent. Trump didn't read one page of that indictment. Not one.
But let's get back to the more important issue here, because we are the only ones who have put together a coalition to fight anti-Semitism. Jews and Gentiles united against anti-Semitism, and you already have an all-star lineup on both sides.
About 60 people from, I swear to God, Curtis, 7 different states, 2 different countries. My social media doesn't stop. Please, you got big people. Nicole Sapphire reaching out to me.
Yeah.
Jackie Goldschneider reaching out. I'm not reaching out to these people. They want to be a part of this because they saw what the mayor did last week. Some of them, again, my friends, Menashe and Moshe. That is your task force? Really? Now, I know some of it's going to be legal stuff and court stuff. It has nothing to do with punching people in the streets.
It's nothing.
But come on.
This is what it has to do. To be fair, you go after those on the left who are anti-Semitic. You go on to the right who are anti-Semitic because we know they're there. And you call it the way it is. Now, for instance, Jay-Z, right, who's now a billionaire. Remember he had that rap. It was the story of O.J. He said, ever wonder why Jews own all the property in America?
Yeah.
And I said to myself, you see, this is how we expose these anti-Semitic tropes on the left or the right.
Yeah.
Number one, You look at America, a guy named the Emerson family owns most of the property. Last time I looked, they were Protestants. John Malone is number 2, whose family was from County Cork in Ireland. Doesn't strike me as being a Jew. And Ted Turner, the former CNN owner and operator, owns all that property out there in Montana, an Episcopalian. Then you look at the world. Who owns the most real estate? King Charles III and the British royal family, number 1. The Catholic Church, number 2. The House of Fraud, the House of the Saudis, the wealthiest family in the world. There's not a Jew amongst them.
No.
So we have to attack these tropes that are spoken about on the left and the right. For instance, merchants, the merchant class, Jews, Lebanese, Indians, and Chinese, spread all over the world. Do you know that this Mandani guy, you see, when I get into a debate with him, I say, hey, Zohan, you're from Uganda, right? Indian family. You know, in 1972, Idi Amin kicked all the Indians out and gave them 90 days, pack your bags and get the hell out of here. Then in 76, after they took hostages of a Air France flight that was going from Tel Aviv to Paris with a stopover in Athens, they took all the hostages back to Uganda. And there was the raid of Entebbe, Operation Thunderbolt. Were you in favor of the Jews rescuing their hostages, Zorhan Mandani?
Oh, you know the answer to that already.
Well, he has to be asked that question.
Of course.
That was just 4 years after his family was kicked out of Uganda. Thank God for the IDF going in there. Remember, it was Bibi's older brother was killed in that action. So who do you support? Idi Amin, who kicked out your family because they were Indians, they were part of the merchant class, Zorhan Mandani? Or did you support the IDF that went in to rescue the hostages, 94 Israelis, and a crew that was kept over? We supported Israel's right to go in and get those hostages. Hey, media listening out there, you love Zorhan Mandani? Ask him that question. Because if you don't, when I'm on that debate stage, my first question is, whose side were you on? Idi Amin, who was eating human beings and hated all Jews and kicked your family out? Or were you on the side of Israel that said, these are our hostages, we're going in and getting them? Hostages, Zorhan Mandani, the hostages that are still being held in Gaza. I will make the connection. I will confront you, and there is no way you can run or hide. Neither can Cuomo, neither can Eric Adams, because none of them want to debate me. I know more than all 3 of them collectively about the history of the world, and especially the history of New York City. I know where everyone's bones are buried and who buried them. Media, ask Zorhan the Magnificent that question if you dare.